Okay, guys, welcome to this week's Fife Property Update. This is a look at all the properties right across Fife that have come in with all the estate agents in terms of the numbers coming across. So every single property has come on with an estate agent, every single property is sold through an estate agent, through Rightmove. We get access to these details so we can see how the market's performing and what to expect in the future in terms of prices, in terms of where the market's going, in terms of supply and demand, in terms of is there going to be a property crash? And then these things will tell us that. So let's have a look at this week just past, which is the 10th of July to the 16th of July. Now, a couple of things. We'll have a look at the numbers here right across Fife. So as you can see, in the Cooper area, there was 15 properties came onto the market. There's 8 properties went under offer and sold. Again, 1 week does not make a trend, so we'll see what it's like next week. East Neuk, 4 properties came on, 6 properties sold. So East Neuk's a very buoyant market still. St Andrews, 10 properties came on, 7 properties sold. Again, St Andrews, that's quite normal for St Andrews. It's a high price point. It is the London of Fife, if that makes sense to anybody out there. Levenmouth, 10 came on, 9 actually sold. So Levenmouth's always a buoyant market just now, especially with the fact that we've got the train station coming in 2024. It will make a huge difference in terms of inward investment, or more than 100 million going into the Levenmouth area. And also it will make a huge difference in terms of people deciding to actually, I tell you what, maybe actually leaving is quite a good proposition, and then I can just commute because I can work remotely. Remember, the average price point in Fife is around about £165,000. The average price point in the UK is around about £280,000 to £300,000. It's almost double the amount to buy in the UK, and yet average earnings is similar in Fife as it is to the rest of the UK almost. So it makes it proportionally easier to buy a house in Fife, and you get more money, you get more property for your money in Fife itself. Dunfermline, 64 versus 45. Now, there's no surprise. I'll come back to the end. And Glenorthas 9 versus 16. So Glenorthas last week, I think, was a lot more properties that actually came into the market was actually sold, and it's turned around this week. So this is why I say 1 week does not make a trend. Kirkcaldy 29 versus 19. So 29 came on, 19 sold. So again, demand in Kirkcaldy seems to be dropping. However, you've got to remember in places like the 2 places that are key here, Dunfermline and Kirkcaldy, which don't seem to have enough demand, are getting a lot more properties built. And this is why we talk about all the time. In order to sort a property problem of undersupply, we need to start building houses. We need to start building more affordable homes as well. And I mean homes built by the council, not by anybody else. Affordable is 5% below market value. Now, what is affordable in St Andrews? 5% below market value? I doubt it very much, because the average price points are really high in terms of the rest of the Fife. So that's why I talk about social housing rather than actually anything else. Okay, and that should sort out the supply and demand problem, because there's more houses across the tenure. It should also sort out the rental problem, because obviously there's a limited amount of supply of rental properties. Therefore, if you bring more into the market, there's more to choose from. Therefore, it'll bring the price down. Now, I'll show you a classic example right here. Let's quickly jump onto Zoopla. Now, this tells us quite a lot. I'm going to share the next screen, which is Zoopla, and let's stop sharing that one. Come on to this one, if I can find Zoopla here. Yep, here it is here. So hopefully you can see Zoopla. So this will give us a strong indication about where the market is just now. Now, maybe at the beginning of the year, we had about 550 properties right throughout Fife up for sale. Now, let's have a look at that number. See, now we've got 665, so we've got almost 100 more properties. So what you're going to see is that's about a tenth, because there's about 6,500 properties sold every year in Fife. So there's about a tenth, which means 5.5 to 6 weeks is the average time to sell a property now and get an offer on your property, as opposed to this beginning of the year, which was about, you know, every month, which was about four weeks to sell a property. So it will take a lot longer, but there's more supply coming on. So your house, if you bring your house right on now, don't expect it to go like that. Don't expect it to go in a flash. Everybody will say, oh, you'll get that sold, no bother, in 2 or 3 days. But that possibly won't happen, because there's a huge amount of oversupply coming on just now. And that's okay, because at some point in time that will peter out, and it will stabilize again, and then the market will be fine, and then everything will be back to normal. It is almost like, when you think about it, if you're on a motorway, and then you come into a traffic where everybody's stopped, and then you're sitting there for the next 2 or 3 miles in this queue, waiting for something to happen. And then you get to the end and you drive away and you think, why was everybody stopped? Why did that slow down so much? There's nothing here to tell me that this actually should have slowed down. And that's just because there's a huge amount of people jumping for the same place at the same time. And that's the same with the housing market, with the number of properties coming at the same time. It slows down for that period of time. But once when it stabilises, it starts to pick up speed again and goes back to a bit of normality. So just now, there will be a transition period when more properties come onto the market, where your house, possibly if you're putting on the market, if you're thinking about putting on the market, might take a wee bit longer than usual because of this period of transition with the amount of properties actually coming to the market all at once. If it happens continuous, then we have a housing problem, or we have a housing price problem, because that then brings prices down. If it doesn't, then it should just peter off, because it's quite normal at this time of year. And when it gets into the quieter months, when people start to say, well, I tell you what, I'm not going to put my house until next year because of Christmas is coming up. Yeah, I've mentioned it. We've still got the autumn holidays, and we're in just now, and we've still got autumn as well, but I'm talking about Christmas already. Yeah, if you want to be moved before Christmas, you probably need to decide now, because literally you're in July right now, and then you've got August, September, October, November, and you've almost got, there you go, you've got 4 months. You've basically got about 4 months to get in. So when you put your house in the market, it takes a month to sell. It's going to take 3 months probably to get through the conveyancing process, because that's the average sort of time it's taking for solicitors to get properties through. If they've got any things that they need to sort out, if it's run-of-the-mill stuff, it should go through no bother pretty quickly. But some things have title disputes, and if you've got an older style property, you might have a title dispute with the boundary because it's maybe been in your family for maybe 70 or 80 years, therefore there's maybe a title dispute. It needs to be resolved. So that's why it sometimes takes a wee bit longer in the conveyancing process. And that's why I say, if you want to be in before Christmas and you want to buy and sell before Christmas, you probably have to do it right now. It's not like your sofa, where it's like 2 months before they go, get a new sofa before Christmas. This does take it's specialists involved all the way throughout this, especially your solicitor, who actually looks into all the title and makes sure you're covered in case anything goes wrong. I've seen it time and time again where people have actually tried to do. There used to be years ago in the 80s and 70s and that, people used to try and do conveyancing themselves, and it's like, whoa, and then they were left with title disputes and that, because they would just buy a property and let it go through. So solicitors have a place. They are experts in their field, the conveyancers. So you need to make sure you speak to a solicitor. You need to make sure your solicitor does all your work for you until once it's over the board and once we've sold it. And this is why we endorse certain solicitors to do that title and that conveyancing process. Anyway, let's jump on back to my previous one here. I'll just remove that and I'll bring on my previous one, and let's talk about what's sold and what's coming on. So weekly stats, say, okay, here we go, there's the weekly stats there, and then what's been sold. This is, now we'll tell you this because it gives you a strong indication of what property prices are going for in these areas and what type and style they're going for. This is Invery Street in St Monans. This was sold, this was offered over 200,000. This was a 3-bedroom bungalow in the St Monans area, and this is gone. So this is offers over 200,000. So this is sold as well. The next one is Innerbridge Street in Garbridge, just outside next door to Lookers and next door to the St Andrews, about 2 or 3 miles away from St Andrews. This was a 2-bedroom upper apartment, and this went on at offers over £145,000, and this was sold. So this one up here, this 2-bedroom end terraced upper, that was sold, and that was sold at offers over 145,000. There's other people that missed out on these types of properties. So if you do have a property like that to sell, then by all means get in touch with us, and we might be able to do something for you. Sold in 2 weeks, you can see that there. The final one that was actually sold is Calder and Church Road in Leven. This was offered over 300,000. This property was a 5-bedroom, 2-reception, end terrace, Victorian period property. You can see it there. There was a couple of garages that went there as well out the side, and this was sold. The 2 other people missed out on this type of property. So if you have a property like this, you're looking to sell and you're thinking about it, then by all means speak to us beforehand, and we'll see. We'll give you a good idea of what you need to do to it, if you need to do anything, and we'll also give you a good idea of what it should be going for. But you've kind of got a reasonable idea right there, right now, of what that went for. That went for, in 2 weeks. That went. That was sold. So what have we got coming on? Well, let me quickly jump to that. A couple of shows. Couple of shows on here. How to keep your home ready for viewings while you're on holiday. So we did a show yesterday. Well, Perry, Andrea, and Anne-Marie did a show, and I jumped in at the end. And I was coming back from London. I did a show yesterday, and it was about how to keep your home ready for viewings while you go on holiday. This is the time where most people go on holiday. So if you click on the link there, this will give you really good top tips on how to keep your home ready for viewings while you actually go away on holiday. So your estate agent can just walk in the door and they'll be much fit. They'll be ready to go straight away, every single time, on time. That's what you want to do, because you want to get the best value possible. You want to get the best price possible. You want to show it in the best light possible. So that allows you to get the right buyer. It'll pay the right price. It'll give you the right circumstances, the right entry date, in order to make your next move seamless. And also, you might have a bit of money to you didn't know you would get before, to actually invest a wee bit more on doing maybe upgrades or improvements or something you'd want to do over and above that. And that can happen, definitely, because you've got an expectation in your mind about what you'll get for your property, but sometimes we get you more. It also talks about sorting out your locks and stuff like that. Make sure you've got all your keys there. Classic example, you go on holiday and you leave the back door key somewhere, nobody knows where it is, and you know where it is every day, but your estate agent doesn't know where it is every day because you've moved it to somewhere else. And that then causes a problem when you're going out the back door, and then everybody has to troop out the front door and go around the side. And if you've got a property which actually has, you have to go through the terrace back to get your bins out, and then you have to go way around the other houses to get in because you're a mid-terraced around the back, then that could put a lot of people off. So make sure so there's nice good top tips. 4 minutes it takes you to read that article. There's an hour for the show, a podcast as well. So that's quite a good article as well. The next one is, I would say, is Fife starter homes. Did you know a Fife starter home for a first-time buyer, if you want to start off in Fife for the first time, it is 36% more cheaper in today to buy a house than it is in 1989. And that's like, sorry, what did you just say? It's 36% cheaper, more affordable to buy a house now as a first-time buy than it was in 1989. Yeah, all these years ago, you're talking about over 30 years ago, it is now cheaper to buy a house now than it was in 1989. Watch that show, read that article. The article's 3 minutes read if you want to just skim over and see what it's all about and where that statement comes from and how that's backed up. But good insight into the show as well. And I talked about this, about why that's happened, how that's happened, and where we're going to go in the future. I actually give a lot of good predictions on these shows. So if you want to read, watch that, read that, be my guest. There's a podcast that are attached to these as well. If you want to listen to it while you're in the car, be my guest more than likely. And let's jump back to what's available for sale and what's coming soon. So coming soon, Golf Street in Ladybank, a detached 3-bedroom, 2 public with a double garage. That's going to be coming on soon. A detached property. Drybriggs, Balgarvey Road in Cooper, a 2-bedroom ground floor flat is coming on. Mid Street in Kettlebridge, a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2 public. Apparently stunning countryside views. Wow. A detached cottage this is in Mid Street in Kettlebridge. Fisherman's Court in Cellar-Dyke, end terraced, 3-bedroom, amazing property. I've been in it. Sits in the sun all day long out the garden, and it is literally just down a wee path on the Fife Coastal Path. You're along the harbour, you're along the beach. It is really idyllic living. This is a cracking property. It's got a garage as well, and it's got off-street parking and your own wee bit at the front of the door. So it's ideal for anybody who wants to have a lifestyle, wants to have a really good lifestyle, a family lifestyle as well. 3 bedrooms, end terrace property, really good in Fisherman's Court in Cellar-Dyke. Taylor Cottage in Drawn Court and just outside Daresey in the St Andrews area postcode. This is an amazing property. Now, if anybody knows Drawn Court, it was actually steadings which were converted. The stonework is beautiful in this, and the standard of finish was really, really high at the time they were done, and the existing ones have kept that existing high standard of finish as well. So that's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, stunning finish inside, semi-detached, period property, and modern inside, obviously, because it's been completely converted. from that steerings from before. Stroon in Meadow Road in Connacher, not Kilconquhar, Connacher. If you're local Connacher, Kilconquhar, Connacher. Potato, I suppose. So Meadow Road in Connacher, this is a 3-bedroom, 2 public, 2 bathroom, semi-detached property. This will be coming to market this week as well. And finally, the Burnside North in Cooper, a 2-bedroom upper apartment, is coming to market as well. If some of these properties you're interested in, message us your contact details. Just put your message in and say what property it is you're interested in, what your email address and what your contact number is. Now, message us it. Don't put it in the comments, for goodness sake. It's not public. It's public domain information. That if you message us it, we'll get it personally and what it's all about. Or if you just want to message us and ask about it, then feel free. But we will probably ask for your contact details anyway, so we can start from there. Completed this week, Invery Street in St Monans. This was sold straight away, and so that completed as well. So that is gone. So Invery Street in St Monans. We've also got number 3, which is sold. So they're very, very popular, these types of 3-storey townhouses. So that is gone as well. The owners are delighted. The buyers are delighted with their first new home. Let's pop back and finally finish off here. One of the most important things ever that I'm going to talk about tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show. Recycle your cash. How did I manage to buy 6 properties with £40,000 in 2010? Yep, 6 properties with £40,000 in 2010. This is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show at 12:30 live. Myself and Richard Cook are going to be talking about this. It's a recycling your cash. It's how to use your cash to invest wisely and then reinvest it and reinvest it and reinvest it. So you're making money on the money, on the money, on the money, on the money, and you've still the same principal amount of money. How is that possible? I'll show you how it's possible, and I'll tell you how it's possible because I have done it. So that's the Wealth Creation Show at 12:30 tomorrow live. It will be on. You've got it there in the links yourself. You've got links to where it will be on, what channels it will be on in this post itself. So you can click on these links. You can follow my Facebook page, my official Facebook page, Jim Parker. Or if you're not on Facebook, you can follow on YouTube as well. You can watch the show on YouTube and take part in that as well. And the YouTube link is on there as well. Finally, remember, instant valuation, 60-second valuation tool, probably 30 seconds now, gives you good insight into the valuation of your property, whether it's you're renting or whether it's you're selling. And that's it, guys. Until next time, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties.